Alrighty, how you guys going? Today I'm just going to be showing you a quick, reliable source of copper. So far it's an infinite source, meaning you can go back as many times as you want and just, I guess, fill up your entire inventory full of copper. It's a really easy way to get it as well. If you just dive straight into the game, it doesn't take that much preparation time to go and get it. Of course it is a little deep down, but the most important thing I need to stress is check your version of the game, because of course this is the version I'm using, April 2017 47282. In later versions this might be fixed or patched, you never know, so I don't want you guys trying this out and finding that it doesn't work anymore. So yeah, please be cautious of the version you're using, but without further ado, I'll jump straight into the game. Alrighty, so we've just loaded into the game. Of course the life pod's a bit screwed up. Now to find the copper we're going to be heading over to the deep Grand Reef, or sorry, just the Grand Reef, and because it is quite deep, it's about, I think, 200 to 400 meters where we'll be going. We're going to need some base essentials first. So we need to upgrade our oxygen tanks, which require glass and titanium. We're going to need a water pump, an air pump I should say. We've got enough water as it is, but we're going to need an air pump, which just requires more titanium, and we're going to need a rebreather. Now if you can't see a rebreather in your blueprints list, don't worry. You just need to cut a piece of creep vine sample, which will give you a recipe for fiber mesh, which is used in creating it. So I'll just jump to when I gather a few basic resources.
Copper is an essential component of all powered equipment. Your probability of survival has just increased by 11%.
Now while you can get copper just from breaking open limestone chunks, most of the time you'll either find lead or titanium in those chunks, and it's not very good because you need a lot of copper when you're playing throughout the game, and this is just a really inefficient method of getting it. You can come to these large, I guess, logs. Oh, shut up, PDA. You can come to the large logs, and they have a lot of titanium, limestone chunks on them, which can be broken open. But there you go, as I said, most of it's going to be titanium. That's always cool. Alrighty, so I've finished making a lot of stuff. Of course I filled my inventory with pipes. They're one of the most important things you'll need. They only require titanium. You're only going to need one floating air pump. I've made myself some oxygen tanks. The Sea Glide as well. Very important you have one of these because it's going to be a very long swim over to the sea treaders. Otherwise, some spare batteries. You don't have to have all this equipment like a scanner on you. You can get rid of... I guess I can get rid of like the fire extinguisher and the scanner. The only reason I needed a scanner was to scan the parts of the Sea Glide. They can be found in the safe shallows anyway. Place it with some pipes, so they're going to be one of the most important things. Now you might be thinking, your inventory's full already, how are you going to take any copper home with you? Well, there's a lot of... you're going to be placing all of this down, because this is going to be where you're getting your oxygen from. If you've already got like a sea moth or a cyclops, and great, you don't need all this. Probably should have just gone up straight through the top of here. But how we're going to know where we're going is we're going to be going out over there. See, it's kind of like a discoloured fog. Going to be heading towards that, so it's where the engines are facing on the Aurora. Right, so we're just going to jump straight in. We've got some of the basics, some batteries, some food and water if you're on survival like me. I don't need a repair tool, I only use that to fix up the life pod for aesthetics. So, I'm going to head straight over there. I'll see you guys when we get there. Alrighty everyone, so we're over here near the floating island. So it's just near the engines of the Aurora. We're about 1,100 meters away from my life pod, but don't take this as a reference to your own life pod because they do spawn in separate locations. Now basically if you look straight down, it's going to be this area, you're not going to be able to see the bottom, and that's because it is quite deep here. This is the, I think it's called the Grand Reef, and it is quite far down, so of course you won't be able to get down and up with one single tank. So what we're going to do is we're going to equip our floating air pump. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to go down and show you how deep this is. I'm going to spawn in a second. I might not be close enough to the Grand Reef, or... I'll say this is the Crag Field. Here we go, down here, this should be where it is. Now the reason we needed a rebreather for this is the further you go down, the more oxygen you consume per second. A rebreather will minimise that. So if I didn't have a rebreather, I'd probably be out of oxygen within the next 10 seconds. But you can tell this is the Deep Grand Reef. We're down at 300 meters now. Alright, and I think when we get about to 50 oxygen, we're going to start heading back up again, or even sooner than that. And those guys are what we want to be looking for. They are the sea treaders, so I'm going to head straight back up again so I don't asphyxiate. It is really deep down. And in relation to the island, I think that's the island just there. So just off, I guess, the corner, this little spike here. And this is why it's so important to have a sea glide. You have, you can move a lot faster. So I guess just at this corner of the island here is where you want to be putting your air pump. Let's place this one down, if it wants to go down anytime soon. Now we can equip our pipe and just go straight down. This may take a while. Alrighty, with the amount of pipes that we've used, we were only able to make it down to about 229 meters, but it's still great because we can just swim up to this lower pipe and refill our oxygen. Now, it's going to be quite difficult to see because how far down it is. It's actually approaching night time, but just for the sake of this tutorial, I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, so I'm just going to switch to day. Only makes it a little bit easier to see. Okay, so we can see our pipe somewhat fairly easily. If you get a bit paranoid, you can chuck down a beacon. So I'm going to switch to my sea glide here. Move around a bit, and you're going to be looking for the sea treaders. They can be found by having, well, there's one right there, the big tripods. They are passive, they won't attack you. And they'll be walking along this flat ground here. Now, when they walk, they're going to bring up these little chunks. There's one right there. They will slowly sink back into the ground. You see this one's slowly getting lower and lower. Break these. 9 times out of 10, they'll be copper. And it's an unlimited resource as well. Oh, sounded like a warp near me. They'll sometimes drop lithium as well. You don't need lithium as much. Alrighty, I'm not going to hurt you. They do drop lithium, but not as much. And you can really just fill up an entire inventory of just copper. If you bring your sea moth down here, of course you might need a... Just shit on me. That's slightly disgusting. You can bring... I forgot I was saying that distracted me. You can bring a sea moth with the storage upgrades in it. And just fill that thing entirely up. And I think I've lost my oxygen pipe now, so... Probably is a better idea to keep a beacon with it. Alrighty, so I'm back at the oxygen pipe. I decided to just plop down a beacon. I'm a bit lazy, so I couldn't be bothered going back to the pod, so I just spawned one in. But they are, they're not crazily hard to make or anything. You can make them fairly easily. They're not that expensive. They just require copper wire, which is 2 pieces of copper, and titanium. And which, of course, doing this method, you'll have plenty of copper for copper wire. But it does show that you can get easily turned around, so maybe it's a better idea to find the sea treaders and then place the beacon above them. Which is, I think, luckily enough what I did there. So we'll head back down here with Mr. Sea Treader. If you do get in front of them, they will try to attack you. Be careful, warpers do spawn in this area too, so you need to be cautious of them. This guy seems like he doesn't want to be jumping in. Here we go. A bit of lithium that time. This might be a bit of copper. Copper, thank you. Oh, even more copper. And this is an infinite source of copper. Oh. Sometimes you can get a bit stuck behind his legs. That's okay. Not gonna die or anything. Some more lithium, which is great for making plasteel ingots. There you go, the beacon's working a charm. It's good for making plasteel ingots, base reinforcements on your hull. So we just head back up to this oxygen pipe. I'll show you how fast you can replenish oxygen. So just swim up to it nice and easy. You'll have a 70s rave effect on your screen of all the ecstasy you've been taking, but other than that, get back down there and get collecting more copper. And as you can see, go into inventory, we've got a lot of copper here. You won't find it this fast when you're working in the safe shallows, and you can come back to this because if you place your beacon, or if you just go to the island and go to the, I believe that's north, east, south, so it's the eastern side of the island, and if you just head south from the engines, and you've got yourself tons and tons of copper. Hopefully this guide worked for you guys. I've only really figured this out after playing Subnautica for a while, and this is my main source of getting copper. I'll just ferry it back and forth with my Seamoth. But of course, if you're using a Seamoth, you need the depth upgrade, because normally Seamoth can't go this deep, only go down to about 200 meters. But hopefully this worked, and I guess just have a great day. I'll see you guys later.